Hello everyone and welcome to the Sage Be Me podcast. I'll be your host for today, Sage Be Me, and your co-host will be
Anonymous 99.
So Anonymous and I will be. I don't know if we'll make it as Thursday or we'll just see how it goes.
Yeah.
So on today's episode, we'll be talking about two things. We'll be talking about desire and love. This will be basically focusing on relationships per se. So Anonymous, tell us what's your take on desire? What do you feel or think desire is?
Desire is very important. I think my definition or my understanding of desire is it's an evolutionary thing a trait that helps you to choose the most appropriate mate for you, whether that is long-term or sexual, based on a set of I wanted to use desired characteristics, but based on a set of
Choosing,
preferable traits in your mate. So it helps you to choose between like a strong and a weak mate, or between a good-looking or a not so good-looking mate in their opposite sex. So it just comes naturally, and it helps you to choose.
It's just like when girls say, I've seen this meme going around. Life is too short for you to have a short boyfriend. Go get a tall boy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so girls are out there looking for tall guys, huh? So us short guys, how are we going to survive? But they're not looking for us.
Yeah, no, it's you have to play within your league, sort of thing. Or if you can play out of your league, then well and good for you. But you have to look for a way to be a desirable mate. I mean, even animals, from peacocks to kiwi birds and all these animals, they try to display their most desirable traits so that the opposite sex can choose them. Funny enough, it has always been the masculine or the male species who's always trying to obtain attraction from the opposite sex. Even in animals, funny enough, you notice that, or you come to find out that the peacock is actually the man, or the male of the species. The one with the most colorful feathers is actually the masculine one.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. So even in birds, there is an innate trait where they want to show their most desirable traits so that they can automatically get your juices going and get the opposite.
The sex, all fired up and stuff.
So they want to be chosen, and desire comes naturally.
So basically, we're saying human beings have tried to defy that law of nature, in the sense that girls nowadays, they're basically putting on makeup to make themselves desirable and everything.
Yes, they're cheating the process. Because it's like you don't get a second chance at a first impression. And for men, even before they get to know you, your character, your boyfriend may tell you, oh, by the way, I fell in love with your character and your traits, and you're a nice person. But for you to even get to that point, unless maybe you snuck in through the back door by being a friend first, and they didn't realize you were trying to woo them until eventually they have already been wooed and they didn't know, But otherwise, if you have a very short, a very short window, a very small window to get that man, there's no lying to yourself. Men first, before you even get in, the CV before you get the interview is your looks, right? You need to pass the looks section. So,
as in, it's basically. But on that note, I think it's on Saturday. I usually go to this thing. It's called TLX, Tule Leadership Experience. So I actually climbed the wrong mat. I was supposed to climb written, so I hopped on ROG. So I was sitting over there at the window. Then I was watching out. I had bought the crips, the 50 bob crips. The ones.
pack.
Yeah. So I'm chilling over there. I'm looking outside the window. Then I see this conductor. It's just standing there. Then this chick wearing black comes and stands next to him. And they're talking, and she's like, oh, na hii gari itajaa saa ngapi? Oh, itatoka kweli? Then I immediately ignored the conversation. It's like I blacked it out in my mind, yeah? Then I don't know how it happened. We locked eye contact, yeah? So this is where everything like went like, I didn't see how it built up, but it actually built up. We looked eyes at each other. Then she realized she was talking to the conductor, so she had to like put her attention to the conductor. So after a while, the driver turns on the car. She enters and comes and sits exactly next to me. So at this point, my mind hadn't locked that she was the one outside and everything. So I was just like in my own world at that time. I had like these twin books, the long ones. One was on my lap. So she started putting, she had this like 2 khaki bags with stuff in it. I assumed that they were food or something. So she put like the first one, and she was like, I would just wait a little bit while I arrange my bags. I said, it's okay. You just do it. Then she did that the second time, asking me, oh, please, kidogo too, just a little.
She's trying to initiate.
Exactly. So I was trying to like assume, but she kept on being consistent with it. So I'm like, she did it the 3rd time. So I was like,
you're not taking it.
Yeah, I'm not taking bait, but I'm not taking bait. So she put. I was like, it's okay, it's okay. You don't have to ask anymore. You just put whatever you can, finish arranging, then blah blah blah. So that's how the conversation.
I think she didn't even really care about arranging. Yeah, she just wanted you to
start a conversation with her.
Yeah.
So we started talking while she was arranging and everything and stuff. Then we started coming from town. It was all story until we got to Buru. Then she started like acting all restless and stuff, At that time, I was having a power bank that was charging my phone, so my phone was in my hand. But when I'm talking to someone, I usually don't like being on phone. As in, I don't know, it's just a character trait of mine. So she's acting restless, as in because obviously you'll observe the body behavior and everything. So I think she was about to allow it. Then she was like, oh, ulikuwa unataka kuchukua namba yangu? I'm like, what? As in, I've not even loaded what's happening here. So she's like, you wanted to get my number? I'm like, I didn't say yes or no. She started blurting out of the numbers. So I was like, wow. So I pressed the power button. My phone got on. She took the phone, then entered her number. After entering her number, I was like, what did you say your name was again? Then she told me her name. Then she saved it. Then I don't know how, but I actually called her that time, so she got my number. I was like, when she checked the mat, that was when I realized, man, I was being picked up and I didn't even notice. I'm like, wow.
And funny enough, I don't know what was happening this week. I was talking to someone and we had this conversation, and it was like, girls these days, especially girls in Nairobi and maybe most other towns, modern day girls, they're very confident. They go for what they're very aggressive, and they go for exactly what they want. Even in relationships. So the girl was picking you up on hardcore.
So she turned into a pickup.
Pickup artist.
Basically talked about desire, and from what you've told me, I got that desire basically it's like a drive or something, a drive to get you something that you feel deep within yourself, a feeling that you want this, so it pushes you to get that thing that you want. So basically, like, you can desire to have a PlayStation. I can desire to have a PlayStation. Then we go for one. But the sad news is only one can get that PlayStation.
If there's one PlayStation.
Maybe like let's say it had like a special feature, like it had Camo or Batman, and I wanted that one and you got that
specific one.
So I'll be jealous, like, you got that one and I really wanted it.
Sure.
So I figure that desire really comes with a lot of other feelings together with it. You get. in the sense that I figure that if you're going for that, like, we'll be really aggressive, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I want it, so I should get there first. I should get it first. And if you get it before me, like, I'll be really jealous. Like, damn, you got it before me. So, like, desire really comes with a lot of feelings here and there. And I don't know if guys understand this. Like, if you desire something, it how should I say this? It wraps a lot of feelings deep within you.
Yeah, it consumes you, huh? And it brings up a lot of your inner or more hidden feelings, more hidden characters. It brings out who you actually are.
Yeah, that's basically right. Yeah. So when we talk about love, I think a lot of guys, as in the idea out there is the Disney kind of love, man.
Yeah.
Like a Cinderella type of love. Like, she's lost, I'll go look for her. Like,
In
she's
damsel in distress.
yeah. Like, she's the only one I want, so I don't feel like there's a need to look for another person. As in, it's that feeling that how should I say this? Okay, I'll just get this from the Christian religion, because growing up, this is the idea that was planted inside my mind. Yeah, like, I'll have that one that was made for me, like the rib from my cage, you know. Like in the story of Adam, like Eve was taken from Adam's rib. So
I understand, yeah.
yeah, so I'm like, she'll be the rib from my cage, man. As much as it sounds really unrealistic, because, you know, another person has to be born, as in they won't be coming from me, but that's the basic concept that you have, like, you guys were meant to be.
So that concept is in love or in relationships? Or?
Basically in love, both love and relationship. It's basically like this, people usually say, you build up the relationship first, then after building the relationship, the intimacy comes later after that, you get? So that's the basically idea of love that I have been implanted upon in my mind. What about you? What's your take on love?
I think I had something recently, but I'll get to that at some point. What I wanted to say is desire comes very naturally. You don't decide what to be desired, what to desire, or what to be attracted to, or what to be pulled towards. Right? You already have some of the qualities you're already looking out for, whether you know it or you don't know it. You might think you want a tall person, but ideally, without actually knowing it, maybe you're saying this because your friends want tall people.
Like peer pressure.
Exactly. So you might find other people really like this Fanta bottle figure woman, right? But maybe you like, I don't know.
Titty boy.
Exactly, yeah, Fat Dog Mendoza or something, you know. Maybe you like something different, and there's nothing wrong in being attracted to whatever you're attracted to, because it means it comes naturally. It's what's inside. You didn't program yourself. Right? Maybe you were programmed without knowing it, but it's what's there. That's who you are, right? So I think you might even get to find yourself in a position where you've been married for 10, 15, 40 years, and you find that new secretary in your office very attractive. Maybe you find that new lawnmower in your neighborhood to be very attractive.
The gardener.
Exactly. So it's you don't choose what to be attracted to. You don't choose what to desire. You somehow in your mind or in your subconscious, you've already set certain standards which turn you on or turn you off, and that's just what it is. Right? So, and that's my opinion of it. When it came to intimacy and building of relationships,
basically love, yeah.
Love, yeah. I don't think you have to be in love to be intimate with someone, or for there to be a certain formula, like intimacy has to come first, and then a relationship, or a relationship first, and then intimacy. I think it's free form. It's just like there's no formula to. Life is very free form. You know, there's no formula to anything. There's no formula to how to live your life, or to how to be successful in life, or how to fail in life. You can do it in a myriad of so many ways. Right? You can make it in ways that people haven't even discovered yet.
Yeah.
I recently met an Emmy Award winning camera woman, and she has had an illustrious career. She went from what had she studied? She studied, I think, she studied something completely off base. It wasn't even associated with filmology, filmography or something. Right? She wasn't interested in all that initially, but she phased herself into taking photographs, and she was passionate about it. She realized she actually liked it. She didn't even go to school for some of these things. She taught herself how to take photos. She taught herself how to edit some of the videos. She taught herself how to write scripts and to come up with a story in the cameras, in the films that she takes. And she started late as well, or at least late from the society she comes from. But around 30, she didn't have much, or in her opinion, she says she didn't have much. This is her talking and telling me. She felt like at 30, all her friends and her peers were doing much better than her. People were, even her brother said she wasn't doing well because she didn't have a car, she didn't have a house, a permanent residence, and all these things. Why do I say this? I say this because there's no specific formula to make it. She made it very late, and she even came up with a department or a docket for a career in UN, in the United Nations, for something that wasn't there before. Right? She made a position appear like through her own initiative. She applied for it, and she made an argument for the significance of that role in that company or in that organization. And they made it for her. They made a position for her. You know how amazing that is to apply to a company and tell them, you need me, and you don't even have this position there, right? But you need me because I can do this and this and this and this and this for you. And she's gone on to do much bigger things. She's even won an Emmy Award, her first time applying for it. She won something else. I think she mentioned it was to do with the best script of, I don't know, that year or something to the UN. And she won it on her first try. And do you know how many applications were there? I couldn't believe it. There were in more than 10,000 applications. And from the 10,000, I think they picked like, I don't know, about 2,000 or 1,000. And then they ranked those. And she was first in all those groupings. Right? So you can do it in any way out there. You can make it in any way. So there's no specific formula for anything, right? You can meet the love of your life, or the one who's meant for you, your soulmate, when you're 80 something, you know? Yeah. There's nothing to say that there's no one person that is meant for you. But there's also nothing to say that there is one person who's meant for you. Yeah. So in my opinion, there are no soulmates. That's what I believe. But I might be proved wrong. I don't know. But in my opinion, with what I know, is I don't believe there are soulmates. I believe there's a set of character traits or a set of qualities that you set for yourself, and you say in your mind, whether you know it or you don't know it, if somebody at least passes this set of requirements, then they have qualified for this position as my girlfriend, right? Now, if they have those sets of qualities, and then you meet them, and then you get to know them, and then you find out that you have never felt this way before, because maybe somebody didn't have a combination of one, the sets, and then secondly, they maybe did not like you back just as much as you liked them, and then maybe they weren't in a position to be monogamous to you and make you feel certain things, because you didn't have somebody with this set of combinations who passed each and every stage, you see. Then you might have said, I didn't have a soulmate before, but you are the special one, you're the soulmate. Not necessarily true. It just means by coincidence you met somebody who has at
passed
each
the
stage
marks.
has passed every test that you're worth. You get? So you feel a certain type of way about them. But you might be surprised there are so many people in the world who might pass those exact same stages, right, of your testing or whatever. Right? And it's just that you haven't met them. You have only met one of them. You get? So I think that's my opinion of soulmates. And yeah.
So I'm assuming that when you explain to guys about soulmates, that's basically what people out there feel about love. Like, I will be immersed deeply in love with my soulmate. So from what you've told me, it's actually you ever felt like you have this part in your hand, in your head, like so I have this I should call him little brother. He was like really frustrated about girls. Like, these girls out there, they just lie. And you said like there's this set of people who can pass all the tests that you have.
Yeah.
So for him, he's basically talking about this one girl who lied, forgetting that he hasn't even gotten like a third of the girls in Kenya. You get?
Scratched the top.
As in, he's just like over there, but he's complaining about the girls, and he's not been like with this one, that one, and that one. And mind you, when you get to town, people usually say this: "Utahurumia girlfriend yako."
Really? Never had that one.
People usually say that. So I'm like, Cody, which part of town do you guys walk? Basically, it's me, my standards of
What do they
beauty
mean?
is
Like,
high.
is it that
As in,
they feel like when you're in town you'll meet more beautiful
beautiful.
women?
Yeah. So like, you'll be like, "Kai, this woman is lucky that I'm not chasing other guys." Like, because like, there are really pretty women out there. So I was like, I think guys out there don't really usually get themselves out there to like get to know like there are different sets of people out there. It's like maybe I don't know if I'm misquoting this or I don't know. Let me just say it. There are people who usually say, keep your circle really small. So like they're going to an extent of over small sizing their circle or something. Because I'm imagining, fine, you're keeping your circle really small, but your definition of success is making, like, let's say, having material things, making a lot of money. Maybe let me just say financial freedom. But while looking at your small circle, you're like, tunashindanga tukiombana like 100 bob on a regular basis. Maybe it's not today, tomorrow, but maybe at the end of the month, at the middle of the month, each time you and your circle are back and forth. Hey, bro, you have like 35 bob or 60 bob. I need like mboga for tonight. I'm in a bad position. So I'm like, this is basically the youth man at the moment, The back and forth is usually, bro, I'm at a bad position right now. Help me out. And you are really comfortable with this circle. That's basically how I classified my little brother when he spoke about, these women. Like, his idea of women is not what he has, but he's really comfortable with what he has, and he's sticking to that. He's not throwing himself out there to get to know what's out there. You get? So I basically think that's the whole idea of love. People don't get themselves exposed. Since they had there's this new term that came out, introvert. Since people like, I've been an introvert, that's the whole story that you'll keep on hearing out there. But back when guys were kids, there was no such thing as introverts. Maybe the few or the people who never lived in a neighborhood where there were kids, that happened to them without their, how should I say this, their wanting or something. So you find that their character trait is just staying indoors and maybe reading books or video games. Maybe something forced them to that corner. It doesn't mean that is them. Maybe if they had a chance or the opportunity, they will like go outside. I don't know.
There's nothing, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with being an introvert, right? You might want to be extroverted. You might be an introvert not because of your own.
This is your choice.
Yeah, maybe it's not your choice. Maybe it's not who you actually are, but because of the conditions that you're in or the experiences that you've had, which have maybe forced you to be reclusive and pull back from everyone else. But maybe it's just who you are. Maybe genetically, your parents or their grandparents, or your parents or their parents or the parents of their parents.
Lineage, yeah?
In your lineage, there's a lot of reclusivity. Maybe you are more. You're more inclined to be in your own corner, and it could be associated with certain health conditions. Maybe it's a mental condition. Maybe it could be so many things that are keeping you away from like large gatherings of people. But maybe it's not actually innate. Maybe it's not nature. Maybe it's part of nurturing. Maybe it's what experiences have you had before that have maybe steered you away from people, and that's something else. There's nothing wrong with being introverted or being extroverted. And in my opinion, also, when you said about keeping circles small and experiences also as a result, they suffer. They suffer in a way that you don't have enough experiences in something, or many experiences in whatever it is that you're keeping away from. My take of that is that evolutionarily, human beings and most other species have always tried to survive. They have always been driven by two objectives, in my opinion. Either you want to produce, you want to replicate, or you want to keep living, you want to survive, right? So it's survival and replication, right? And I think I read this somewhere as well. Survival and replication, what does that mean, right? We'll leave replication for now and we'll look at survival. Survival means you get what you can get to feed you, so you keep your food going, and you limit your chances of dying from unknown causes or whatever, right? Yeah. Sometimes I watch horror movies or I watch these zombie movies and I wonder, if you have a house which is safe, you have a consistent supply of food, you have everything you need, maybe you have even somebody else there to socialize with, why would you leave the house to look for something better, right? Right? In my opinion, if you start balancing out the pros and the cons of leaving that house, you might step off the house and maybe there's actually a better mansion up the road, and you can get to that and have more food there and have better air or whatever you're trying to look out for. But the risks, maybe they don't match the rewards. See, so maybe you walk out and you get eaten in between, right? So it's the same that applies with introversion and extroversion. In my opinion, people are geared, without knowing it, inwardly to keep as safe as possible, right? So in the few experiences you've had, maybe you've had 2 or 3 experiences, and out of the 2 or 3, you've had all of them go negatively for you. Maybe each time you try to approach a girl, you got rejected. Or each time you tried to do something, it failed. It even works in studies. Funny enough, if your teacher is always condemning you, you will naturally grow to not like studying or to not like that specific subject. And yet, the same student, if they got a teacher who treated them like as if they were special and they would do very well in everything that they did, they would. And it has a name. That phenomenon has a name. I just forgotten.
I even remember it because in the podcast, there's this book that we read. It's called The Advantage of Happiness. It's not telling you how to be happy. It's just telling you the advantages of being happy. Yeah? So there's this episode where they called the teachers. They told the teachers that we're going to do an experiment with all these heads in your classes, yeah? So they secretly told the teachers, this one and this one and this one and this one, they have a really good phenomenal, as in like they have high potential. So they only told the teachers secretly, and they told the teachers not to tell the students. So they went. After a year, the results of these students, they had improved like nobody's business. It's like at the back of the mind of the teachers, since they realized this, maybe there's some special treatment that happened that
it happens. It has a name, and I wish I could remember it. It has a name. It basically, the more you encourage, the more you get positive outwardly reinforcement, it improves your inward beliefs. So it's like, how do I put this? It's like if you are confident in yourself, in say you're confident in how you would do financially, or maybe in the financial stock exchange market. If you're confident in yourself, and then you go out there, you try it out the first time, and it goes positively, you will get one, your trades will go up, and you will get money, right? And then people will notice it, and people will praise you maybe. So what happens is you get outwardly reinforcement from people and from the results you're getting, which also goes back inside and pushes up the inward confidence, right? But even before you go out and succeed, you have to have some sort of inward inward belief that you would succeed. So they start to help each other. Sometimes maybe you don't have the inward one, but you start with the outside one. So somebody encourages you and they tell you you're special and you can do well, and then you go out and you actually do well. So suddenly it starts to reinforce an inward confidence in yourself. So they start to build on each other. But what if for the first few moments or the first few experiences in something, you go try it and you fail, right? And then people tell you you're stupid. People tell you, hey, Sage, what are you doing? What are you doing with this podcast, right? Sage, what are you doing with your life? Sage, what are you doing with whatever you maybe you've approached a girl and say, why? Maybe they start criticizing your taste or this and that, and so suddenly you feel like, maybe I shouldn't approach girls who are taller than me. Maybe that's what you actually like. Right? So it's inward reinforcement, outward reinforcement, and it contributes to some of the experiences you have. And it also contributes to how often you go out there and expose yourself to new people, to new experiences. You said something like, he's only met very few girls, or maybe he's only approached very few girls, and he already has an opinion of girls that is negative, right? But he doesn't want to go out there and meet other girls because there's no reinforcement anywhere for him to go and do it. He's already seen that it's unfair for him. It's like the system has been rigged to kick him out or to make him fail. So if he gets some sort of reinforcement, or if he's maybe studying and he's a study person and he just doesn't care, and I actually know a few people who are like that, right? Like I once talked to a certain professor at the university, and it's a female professor, and she used to say, I've never been necessarily brilliant at school, right? But I've never also given up. She says she just doesn't care what people think of her or what people say. She's always missed social cues, and she's never necessarily been sharp socially or to understand when people are being derogative to her. She even misses the hints. Just the same way you were in the bus and you didn't see the hints. Even when people are making fun of her, sometimes she doesn't even get it. Like, she doesn't even catch that, this person is actually saying something bad. So what that has made her do over time is she never stops trying. And she told me maybe it was her biggest strength, the fact that she never really listened, or she was never really bothered by other people. She always tried. Right? It's like you fail her this time for a proposal, she will keep writing that proposal, and she'll keep coming back until eventually she will get in. See, that's the kind of person she is, and it has worked for her. So generally in life, with anything, women or whatever, the more times you go at something, it increases the probability of you actually like succeeding at it. Maybe you're not good, maybe you're like a 30% student. But what happens is, if you keep trying, maybe that's not a necessarily very good example in this situation. But say 3 times out of 10 trials, you actually succeed. So maybe if you approach 10 girls, you can actually successfully get 3 numbers, right? That means if you only approach one girl, you might get a no. If you approach two girls, you might get another no. If you approach maybe out of 7, you might get 7 no's. And you might think maybe I really suck at this. But maybe that's not true. Maybe in the next 3 after the 7, you get all 3 numbers. And so out of 10, you get like, your probabilities are right and you start getting 3 out of 10. That means all you have to do in life, and maybe with women specifically, is just shoot your numbers up. Right? If you're getting a lot of rejections, push the numbers up such that the rejections lead up to at least one success or several successes, right? If you have time for it and if you have the energy and the effort to put into it, maybe you're not in a position to do that. Maybe you are kind of busy and held up and blah blah blah, which is okay. Also, maybe concentrate on whatever else you feel like there is.
It has more. It has priority.
Yeah, but like if you have time and you have the opportunity, shoot your shots. Shoot them, and just don't care how many are successful. Because at the end of the day, you will get some, and you will get some. And you also said something about town having a lot of girls. What happens is, it's because maybe your circles are maybe smaller in wherever you're coming from. So by the time you come to town, you feel like
you're in another world.
In another world. It's not actually that every other girl is hot. It's just that those girls make an effort when they're leaving home to look prettier than they usually look every other day. Right? And then secondly, by the time they're getting there, you will not noticing the other girls who are regular, who are normal girls. You'll start noticing only the ones who are better than you. It's a mental thing. So you get there, maybe 10 girls from each neighborhood go. Right? And out of these 10 girls from each neighborhood, only one girl in each neighborhood. So in the whole area where you're coming from, there's only one hot girl. And there are like 10 girls. And they all go to town. You won't notice the other 8 girls who are like your girl, who are normal, right? But you will start noticing the girl who's from your neighborhood is gone. And maybe there are several other homesteads or other neighborhoods who have gone to town. And you start noticing maybe the 20 other very hot girls who are from 20 different neighborhoods, right? So you start feeling like, hey, there's so many hot girls in town. But no, it's because it's a convergence point and people like accumulating and coming there, and you're not noticing that there are other regular girls.
Really?
You don't care about the other. And that's why your mind is only picking up on, hey, this one, there's that one. It's like if you don't have a tuk-tuk, then you buy a tuk-tuk. Suddenly, in your eyes, there are so many tuk-tuks all over. But it's because you have a tuk-tuk, and so you're noticing all the other tuk-tuks.
You've actually reminded me of something, yeah? I don't know. I think it's a book that I read, or maybe something that we were talking about. Back when we were kids, we used to play this game. It was identify a car with the number plate KAT. So if you see a car with the number plate KAT and you shout it fast, like you're ahead in the competition, yeah? So, initially when you start, there are no KATs. Yeah. But once you spot one, all of a sudden they rise up from somewhere. Or a red car. If you see a red car, just say it. They just come out of anywhere.
They come out of nowhere, and that's the truth. It's like, how do people get to become car enthusiasts? Maybe their father gets a car, or their neighbor gets a car, or something, and suddenly you start noticing like BMWs all over, like maybe you get obsessed about BMWs or Mercedes or something. And everywhere you go, even if like initially you'd have just ignored that car, that Mercedes parking there next to your house, suddenly now since you're obsessed about them, you will be counting them everywhere. You'll be seeing them everywhere and you'll be thinking they're everyone. It turns out they were the same number as before. It's just that now you
started seeing it. It's like Ronald Thomas's book. Usually starts off like, in the first chapters, he's usually like, why do my eyes hurt? It's because you've never used them before. So that's like the phenomenon.
Wow, that's nice. I think I need to read. I tried to read Ronald Thomas's one of his books, but they were so stressful to read because I felt like he had a very difficult way of communicating to me. Like he felt like I'm struggling to read the work. Somebody who I really enjoy reading from is Malcolm Gladwell. His books are very easy to read. His text is very easy, and he knows how to deliver points in a very
Smooth way.
You know, you find yourself finishing a book and
You're like,
you've really enjoyed it, and you've not felt like you were struggling to read the book. And there's some writers who have much better points than maybe Malcolm, but who are
the way of delivery.
Yeah, the way of delivery makes you feel tired. It's like you're back in school and you're trying to read a book.
Physics.
You know, yeah.
Or biology.
Literature, because you have to. But yeah, so it's one of those things. So for scarcity, if you have a scarcity mindset, then you will get bogged down. You feel like, oh, they're not enough for me, and women don't want me. But try out, and you might find maybe you've been talking to the wrong women. Maybe you need to not necessarily lower your standards, but just try as much as possible.
Just to do what you see.
Yeah.
See it's possible.
Yeah. And never give up. Just don't care.
So on that, like there are a couple of stereotypes that I felt like we should highlight here, because we've already talked about love and desire. There are two things on both male and female. Yeah? There's this stereotype out there that women are romantic. Like, people have this mindset that like 100% of the women are romantic, but that's not necessarily the case. From my experience or what I've gone through, this is like a very selfish point of view. Back when I had a girlfriend, I was usually the one, like, most of the time doing romantic stuff. Her job was just to show up. So on stuff dealing with like, let's say, me to take her to places, me suggesting the things that we should do, I was basically the one taking up charge. She was just, let's say, like a joy rider. Yeah. She was just there for the ride and stuff. So people think, or women portray the character that they are romantic, but in real sense, that's not usually the case. There are women who are romantic who will tell you they want to go, or will take you, instead of telling you that they want to go or want this, they'll take you out for lunch. They'll arrange or organize like trips for you guys to go together. There are those women who are just there. They'll just wait for you to do stuff. So, have you ever come across this?
In my opinion, I think you can't really generalize and say maybe men are not romantic or women are romantic and blah blah blah. But I believe that there's a definition of being romantic in Kenya or in Nairobi that is not necessarily, or maybe we need to clear up that definition first, because I feel like the many times I've had it, or the few times I've had it, maybe it has been used to mean this man is not spending money on me.
Boom.
Right? But romanticism doesn't mean like expenditure. It doesn't mean like somebody has to spend money on you. You get? It includes like somebody might buy you a gift.
Yeah.
Right? In trying to maybe make you feel nice or impress you or this and that might be considered romantic. But romanticism is not necessarily spending money. Right? Romanticism even starts in the house. Right? It might start with doing something that maybe is not necessarily, that maybe you don't necessarily do, but maybe you're doing it because you want her to maybe relax. It's a weekend, or maybe it's a holiday, and you want to do stuff for her that she usually does, and she gets tired, so you want her to rest that day. So you want maybe to cook for her, right? Or maybe you want to go do certain shopping for her. Some men might think this is feminine or effeminate, which is fine. You might do something else, but like that, by that woman can be considered romantic. Like, this man is being romantic. He's doing stuff for me. You can decide one day when she comes from work and it's a Friday, and the next day is a Saturday and there's no work for her that day, so she's free. You can decide to give her massage that night. You treat her out to like not take her out for massage like a parlor. You can actually just buy oil
and do it
just
yourself.
do it yourself, right? So that's being romantic. Romanticism doesn't mean taking somebody to serve. Like that's not being romantic. It is being romantic, but that is
it's
like,
not the best
this
definition of romance.
It's not like for you to say your man is romantic, he has to always be buying you things. That's not necessarily being romantic. That's like a part of being romantic, but you don't always have to spend money on someone for you to be romantic, right? And so they put a lot of pressure on men. Oh, you're not romantic, and yet what they actually want to say is, oh, you don't spend
on
money
me,
right?
exactly.
That's not being romantic. Those are two very different things, in my opinion. Right? So once you get that out of the way, then you suddenly there's not a lot of stress. You know? You can spend money on her if you have money. If you don't have money, or if you have better use for the money, you can do something else that makes her feel nice. And if your girl only wants you to spend money on her to feel like she feels nice in that relationship and she feels like you're being romantic,
Sorry to tell
you, you need to find out that
there's a big problem.
There's a big problem there. A very big problem. You might want to start looking elsewhere. Start looking elsewhere. If your girl keeps telling you you have to take her out for her to feel like you're romantic, I assure you, you might as well just start looking for another person. Because even if you have money, that's not the kind of person you want to treat out. I assure you. Because it seems like she wants to be... It's fine to take somebody out, but when they start demanding it for them to show affection back or for it to be a proper relationship, that's not the kind of relationship you want to be in.
To be honest with you. Actually, you've actually cleared up that point, because there's this stereotype that I had, like kisses are not romantic. I was like, why is she saying that? Maybe she wanted to be taken out or spent on. I don't know, but she actually she really insinuated on that point.
Maybe she just wanted you to spend money on her specifically, so she was just poking holes. Maybe it's true. I don't know. I've never dated a kissy before, I've never dated a kissy man. I'm quite very straight, so I only date women, and I have no experience with. I've never had women complain about women. I mean, about men being. About kissy men being unromantic, so I don't know about that.
So, I was actually with a friend of mine, he's a kissy, and I think they were quoting each other. And I don't know how that topic arises, but it arose then. I was like, as in it was just an entertaining topic.
Yeah.
So, the next stereotype that we should actually talk about, out there, they actually say that men are sex conjugators. And I figured out that this is not necessarily the case. As much as, yes, there are guys out there raping and stuff, this is not the majority. There are men out there who, would not dare to touch a woman. They don't have those kind of thoughts. So, the guys out there, the ladies out there are usually afraid of being, as in the people are out, they're afraid of being late in the night, because this is for the ladies to be specifically. Out there, it's not safe for women to be late at night, because at night it's dark, you can be raped. As in, there's that thing that it's not safe for women, basically because you can have unwanted pregnancy. You can have trauma. So, fine, the women will be out there, my dress, my choice, but at night, it's not safe, you get? And the basic stereotype that's out there, when a man approaches a woman, the first thing that's in his head is I want to smash. That's the base of everything. So, the stereotype out there is men are sex conjugators.
So, Mash, I don't know. You're using big words, man. So, by sex conjugators, you mean... What do you mean? What do you mean? Just for me and for everyone else who didn't get that term.
It's basically like, there's this meme that's usually going on out there. Like, there's this guy and the girl sleeping in bed, and the girl is like, I bet he's thinking about other women. So like, people think like men are basically sex driven. That's the main thing that's going on in our minds. You get?
So earlier in this podcast, I said something about survival and replication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's part of that. Men and women are trying to survive and they're trying to replicate.
Wait, before I continue, I realized I used the wrong word. I was supposed to use conquistadors, like conquer. Sex, they are conquerors in sex. That makes much sense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's
sex
okay.
conquistadors.
So, if I got you right, yes, men look out for sex. I mean, there's nothing wrong there's nothing wrong with men looking out for sex. It's okay, in my opinion. Anyway, I think it's okay, and it doesn't mean it has to be non-consensual. I mean, they have to get some sort of consent
before doing it.
Right? That's the right way to do it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with sex. Sex is completely fine. It's completely fine to be out there and wanting to have sex. Many people, I think the problem is hiding your agenda, even maybe in some relationships. You get into a relationship and somebody thinks you want love and blah, blah, blah. Turns out you just want consistent sex. Right? So there's nothing wrong with wanting sex. And sometimes if you're honest about it, I think it's the best way to clear up the air and get exactly what you want, because it turns out you might be surprised the other person also wants the same. So I think the problem comes in when there's no consent and it's forceful, right? I have nothing to say about that. That happens, and that's that. There's always been evil in the world. It's not going to stop today. It didn't stop during the times during the biblical times. Why should it stop now? I mean, there was murder in the Garden of Eden, right? No, not in the Garden of Eden. Sorry, there was murder during that time. During that time when it's like the first men and women in the world. If you believe in God and you're Christian, then you have heard the story somewhere, right? That there was murder between brothers, right? Then there was prostitution. There was all kinds of misdoings, and they didn't start now. They are always going to be there, generally. Whether there's law that will govern it or no law, there's always going to be misdoing. Yeah. So if you know what's good for you, I mean, you take care of yourself. I'm not really sure if whatever area you live in is safe past a certain time, or whether it's not safe, but you should know how to take care of yourself. I think that's all I'll say about that. I'm not really sure. I'm not really about to go into why men should not exist or blah blah blah. Or they should control that. I mean, these things have always been there.
And the other thing, you've just said this, and it's really according to the stereotype that we're going to. The stereotype that it's out there, like women long for love, like they long for faithfulness and a domestic incline. This is a stereotype out there because
they
long for love, essentiality, faithfulness, and this is basically a domestic incline. So there's a stereotype out there that a woman, this is what they want. And in a sense, a woman can just want you just because they want to smash. Nothing more, nothing else. But the stereotype out there is like, I should romance her first before anything. I should make her fall in love with me, because all women want love out there, forgetting that there are other people out there who are not like really in for that. As much as in you've had like As this saying goes, in Nairobi, like it's a bedroom. Adi Sauti Sol, is it Sauti Sol or sang a song like Nairobi. Huyu ananipea, ule ananipea. It's like it's a whole big bedroom. As in, it's a whole big, as in, there are people out there who think that this is the basis of what women want: love, faithfulness. That's why there are nice guys out there, for lack of a better word. This is what is being used out there. Because people just think like, this is what women want, so this is what I'm going to give her. As in, you can't even make your intentions clear the way you said, yeah? You're out there, you just want consistent sex. You're not telling her that you want consistent sex. Maybe that's what she wants, but since you want to tell her that you love her so that you can be getting what you want, use this other form of manipulation. You're dangling you're dangling the relationship up there just so that you can get what you want, but in real sense that's not what you are actually in there for. So I think people should address this. Like, people should actually get to know that women also have desires that is sex oriented, not just relationship oriented.
Yeah, women have desires. I think women have desires, and that's why sometimes you...
Can I give an example?
Yeah, you can.
There's a friend of mine. He has actually say I think he has 2 kids. Yeah. So
Male or female friend?
The friend is male. Yeah. So
same woman. Same woman. Mother.
The same mama.
Same mother.
Yeah. So what happened was since he doesn't have a phone regularly, there are times that I got his girl's phone number. I don't know how I got the number, but we started talking, like lightly talking. Yeah. So see, everyone knows like I'm Sage the Virgin out there. So she was like,
why did they call you Sage the Virgin?
Because I chicken out on a couple of situations. Yeah. So like Sage the Virgin it is, bana. So since she saw like I usually tell guys stories on my status, in the sense that someone asked me this question, I post it, and people like want to know how did it go on, how did this conversation carry on. So I usually tell the person who I'm talking with, people are asking for this story, let me just put it out there on the status, then you can get to read through them. So for her, we started talking, and she asked me, why are you a virgin? Then she was like thirsty. She was like, call me up, I'll break your virginity. And I was like, huh? Like, you're my boy's girl, bana, eh? You already have...
Were they together?
Yeah. Okay, I think at that time maybe they were having the back and forth. Because recently when I talked to her, she was like, if a guy cheats on me, I'm leaving one. But she's not cheating, but she wants to leave, you get? So that time she was like asking me like, call me over, I'll come. So she was like inviting me. And at this point I was like, there are also married women out there who would want to like have sex outside.
Who do have sex outside?
Yeah. Their marriage or their relationship. There are women out there who like, this is just for sex. It's nothing, it's not a big deal, it's just that. Nothing more, nothing less. But people like, it's like they're sugarcoating it, or...
What do you mean they're sugarcoating? That's adultery.
They don't want to call it like adultery as it is. As in they want to make it feel like this is just something casual. Yeah? And people don't like want to like bring it out like it's happening. They want to hide it and stuff. You get?
It's very common, even in these societies or religions where things are very tight and tough on them, and you never hear of any scandals, even in those societies and communities. there's adultery and there are all these types of what do you call type of scandals. I used to date this girl some time back. She was of a different like upbringing. She was of a different background and all these things. She was Hindu, right? And we used to hide a lot. We used to used to usually meet in very hidden places. I don't want to give too much information. It might give away a lot of information, but she used to tell me that even in their community, there are scandals where people get caught in very compromising situations, involving and not only limited to adultery and all these funny business. Right? It's just that it's not broadcasted, it's not heard, it's kind of hushed.
Silence.
Yeah, it's silenced. So it's common. Women over time have grown to, it's some of the things that we do and we can't really explain why we do them, especially as a society, whether it's global or local, is because we have evolved to do these things because of a necessity to do them, right? So women maybe are known, or people assume women want love, stability, a relationship, and faithfulness, because over time the women who ended up being successful in life generally, not necessarily with finances, but generally who had less regrets with life and who other women felt jealous of, or women who were in long-term relationships with established men and men who committed to them and them only, and so it looked like it was love and blah blah blah. Why did they settle and turn out to be more successful? It's because we might have talked about this in passing initially when we talked about human interactions and human dynamics involve a lot of exchanges. So it's like you're giving something for something else. Giving you money, you give me potatoes. Or more specifically, in this situation, a man is giving up a relationship. That means I am committing to you and maybe you only. In today's society, there's this notion where a man has to only commit to one woman, which is fine and dandy, but not necessarily correct, right? Or right, or whatever, because there are many other societies and many other communities that support different notions, right? So you are required as a man to give up your faithfulness, or to give a woman a relationship, and in exchange you get sexual favor. Now, so that I may expound on this, sexual favor is a woman says you, not directly or explicitly, but it is implied that you get the rights to, and this even extends to a marriage. Maybe in just a relationship phase, it's just sex. But then now, if you move it further to the ultimate or to the penultimate, point, which is for me a union between a man and a woman, the most ultimate point would be marriage, right? Is you exchanging the rights to your womb as a woman, and the man is exchanging his commitment to a relationship, which is a marriage, to you. And with this commitment comes financial resources, any other resources that he can offer, protection, maybe physical or otherwise. And so he's providing these things, and you are giving back rights to your womb. So you're giving back it's like you're enabling him to pass on his genes. You get? So usually that's the exchange. Maybe you tone it down and it becomes, before it becomes a marriage, maybe it's a relationship. So what are you giving up? Maybe you're giving up sex for whatever other resources he can give up by only committing to you. Maybe if he was not committing to you, he would commit to other people and give those resources to other people. So it only suits the women to tie this person down using words and notions like love and faithfulness, right? So it's like you're giving love and faithfulness through a relationship, which is actually what you're trading. You're trading, oh, I will only do this with you, so that
I'll be
you
your
can give me
companion.
exactly. So you can give me some
This
witness,
security,
right?
yeah.
So you can give me some loan. So I'm giving you security of physical protection, maybe some resources, and whatever else, and you're giving me back some wet innards. Right? So that's about it, in my opinion.
So basically, you've talked about this, yeah, and it's like a stereotype out there that's going on, as in like there's this and this, that like people out there, like people keep on saying men are non-monogamous by nature, like, but that's not the case. There are men who are like deep down within themselves they feel like I'm just comfortable with one woman. But the story out there, like you'll hear people saying like it is in the core of a man. Even they'll give like biological explanations, like a man can impregnate like 9 women in a day, and a woman can't get pregnant by 9 different men. So people take it like the base essence of it, like men are non-monogamous by nature, but there are men out there who are like deep down within themselves, like they're just monogamous. They just want one person. They are comfortable with that one person, and they don't fear that intimacy, like getting close in contact, getting to know that other person, like in an intimate manner. Have you ever come across like men who are in such, or who prefer such, as in them? That's just who they are. That's just them.
Yeah, I've met such men. I meet such a man almost daily in front of a mirror. And what I would say is there's nothing wrong with being non-monogamous, or there's nothing wrong with being monogamous. It's just, I mean, it's your own choice, and as long as you're honest about it, you're allowed to be non-monogamous. You're allowed to be monogamous. It's your own thing, and as long as you come out straight up and let the other person know, it's all well and good. I think some of these things is just your own choice. What do you want? What do you want for your life? And then find somebody who will be aligned to what you want from them. I mean, find somebody who will be aligned to what your expectations of the relationship will be like. So if I come up straight up and tell you, hey, by the way, you're not the only person I'm going to be dating, you knew. So, so it's your own choice. I think people are allowed to be free with some of these things.
It's not like a must for you to be non-monogamous, because people say out there, men are non-monogamous.
Yeah.
You just make the choice.
Do your own thing. Live your own life. It's completely fine to be seeing so many people at the same time, as long as they all know that you're not necessarily committed to them only. Just let them know. Let them know. Whoever wants to live should live. Hey, let them know that you're not just seeing them only. That's all. There's nothing wrong with being non-monogamous. Nothing. Because I've been in a situation where I was with someone and I was with other people as well at the same time, and they all knew. So it's not like you're playing them,
but because they know, yeah. So growing up, I was basically, as in, kids are basically taught abstain from sex. Then, while growing up, some things start changing. People start asking you, "Where's your boyfriend? Where's your girlfriend?" For Christians, they usually tell you like you'll have this one partner, and this one partner. Let me just give a short backstory for me. Yeah? Back when I was in, I think Form 2. It was basically a holiday. So I met up with a friend of mine. He used to be a friend of my school father. So like we sat down and started talking. And I don't know how the conversation turned into a sex-based conversation. But he told me, bro, I used to like hear this conversation like sex is the best thing we could ever have with someone and everything. So for him, he had sex, yeah. This was his first time, eh? And he was like, "Man, why did I do it with that person?" And he was actually speaking from the core of his being, and he was like, "Man, I shouldn't have had sex with her." And I was like, "Why did he tell me this?" Yeah? Then he told me like, "You seek God, then when you find someone who like is in love with God, and you find that you two like link like nicely together, then when you have sex with that person, it will be like better than you could have ever imagined." You get? So
No, I don't get. So
as in,
this guy says you seek somebody who's like who's religious,
yeah,
and then you have sex with them.
as in not like have sex, like someone who you love.
Who's
When you have
religious.
the someone who you love,
And they
when
have
you have
sex
sex with
before
them.
marriage.
I don't know if it's before marriage. I really didn't get.
So this person is Christianly and very religious, but they're having sex before marriage. This other girl, both of them. And that's not really Christianity. That's not really. That's already disqualified. I mean, like, cause why are you seeking somebody who is committed to a cause, but only the parts of the cause that are convenient to what they want at that time or whatever is going on in their life? You know, it's like I want to believe in God, but I also want to do things that will offend God. But like I want God to treat me as if I'm like God's child. You know, it's like there's a lot of gray zones which are not adding up in that guy's story. You know?
So where I was going with this story is, first, people are told like you seek union with the other person. After you've seeked union with the other person, that's when intimacy and the bedroom comes later on. And to be honest with you, from my experience of or the stories that I've heard from people, as in that's not usually the case, because as kids you're told abstain. Then when you grow up, people start asking you, "Hey, why don't you have a boyfriend?" Or when you get to a certain age, you've already gotten a boyfriend. As in, you get that pressure. For women, when they get to like 30s, that's when people start asking, "Hey, where are your kids and stuff?" You get? As in, this is something that's been happening. As initially, you're told to abstain from sex. Then after that, people like want you to seek union. But bedroom affairs, they aren't really talked about. They're like thrown there, like at the back of the class. Like you shouldn't get to know about these things. Even personally, I feel like the sex education in Kenya, it's not actually talked about like how it is. Once you discover like this is what sex is, that's when you realize there's a lot of stuff like in sex education they don't give you the basics. You get? So like most of the people like out there, or the notion out there is first you seek union, then after union is when you seek then the bed manifestation comes about. Do you feel like people should talk about this bed manifestation before you actually get to bed? It's just okay being left out there, like, because even I realized and figured out people they don't really to understand how that bed manifestation happens. What are your thoughts on this?
I remember I didn't hear much about sex until I think I was either in high school or after high school from my parents. I think I was in high school. I think I had it from my parents, and it was my mother who talked to me about sex and everything about sex, and she even gave me my first box of condoms. Like, I think by making sex and sex education very taboo in the African culture, it makes it even more exciting for young people who later find out about sex maybe online or through their friends, and they tend to want to even engage more in it because it's kind of forbidden and not expected to happen. And it doesn't mean that if the sex education was there, it would not happen amongst the children, but it would definitely, it would help the situation, especially because there have been statistics recently about higher infection rates amongst young people. So in my opinion, sex education is good, and sex is not necessarily something that should be avoided or not talked about, especially within families or elsewhere. As long as the communication lines are very open and the education is constructive, then it deals with a lot of problems that come about when it's lacking. Right? When it came to talking about sex or being asked from your peers whether you have yet engaged or do you have a girlfriend or this or that, for me, and I've had this conversation with some of my friends, it usually comes up once or twice every maybe 5 or a couple of years, and people will talk about, you you remember this and this time or this and this age, or how was this and this, I think, experience for you this and this time, when was your first blah blah blah, whenever it comes up, I feel or I get the feeling that maybe I was a late bloomer, ideally, right? But not for a lack of trying. I tried. I think I used to fail. Maybe I never got all the way, just to get to a certain point, and something happens, this or that, and eventually when it happened, I hadn't even planned it. It happened out of the blue. Right? I think I also understand what this guy felt, because for me also, I wasn't really impressed by my first experience. I thought, weirdly enough, I'll just say this here, I thought masturbation felt much better than sex. That was my first thought immediately after the sex. I thought masturbation feels much better than this. Yeah, and but I think I've grown to know much more about sex since then, and it's one of those things. You're never really too late. You're never really too early. Or I think sometimes it's early, but you're never necessarily too late for sex. If I could do it all over again, would I change anything? Maybe, maybe not. I don't really have a specific thought about it one way or another. I never really considered it. It just happened as it did. It wasn't somebody bad. I think they knew more than me. And I don't really regret it. I don't regret it being them either. So we're still very good friends. She's still in a relationship. And funny enough, she still talks as if anything is possible in that aspect.
So you said one thing like, okay, I'll just start with this here. When you're kids, you're told, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Then you find yourself just doing that. It's like when I tell you, don't have a picture of your mind of a white monkey. Then all of a sudden, a picture of a white monkey will just form inside your head. When you're when you're saying about the kids and the high infection rate and everything, that's the thought that came into my mind. When you specifically ban someone to do something, they just go ahead and do it. And when you said someone is too young to do this, what happened? I think when I was in Form 2, I had this conversation with a friend of mine here. He was like, my first time, I think it was with the house help. So I'm like, we're in high school. When was your first time? When you were in class 6 or something? So like, there's a lot of things happening out there, and kids actually don't know about this stuff. You get?
Yeah.
And you find out that they are going out, they are spreading these things, and they actually don't know what they are doing consciously. They are just doing it. Yeah? And as we round up, the last thing that I wanted us to talk about was people should actually get to know there's a difference between sexuality and emotional intimacy. And yes, emotional intimacy can lead to sexuality, but that's just like something on its own on the side, you get. Because there are people who feel like they can't like get in sexual contact with a person if they are not really intimate with them, and there are others who are just okay with this. Like there's this friend of mine, she's a chick. She told me she tried getting laid with a guy, like a guy who she is not like that intimate with. She cried through when he tried to touch her, or when he kissed her. She just felt like nothing was right within her. So I was like, if people got to understand there's like a clean difference between these two lines, they'll actually be making better informed decisions while getting involved with these activities. And I think we'll be talking about this in the future. Basically, while we're talking about how guys, the different forms of approaching the examples we'll be giving. This will be like getting familiar with people and stuff. So, what's your thought on sexual intimacy and sexuality and like emotional intimacy?
People are different, you know. People are different, and there's nothing wrong with being emotionally intimate. And so, there's nothing wrong with being emotionally intimate before you get physically intimate, right? Some people require it, and in fact, it enhances the experience that you have sexually if you are emotionally intimate first. But it doesn't take away anything from the fact that some people are also very comfortable with not really, or would prefer it when there's no emotional intimacy, especially for certain situations. If it's a long-term thing, then you might want to, for the health of the relationship as well, and for also the longevity of the relationship, you might want to accomplish some sort of emotional intimacy with the other person, you know, because one, it enables the relationship to survive certain challenges, right? And it also enhances the experience both physically and otherwise, even when you're not really having sex. So it takes away nothing from sex, especially if you find two people who don't mind not being emotionally intimate, but it might add on to something if you try out to, first of all, or even if it is afterwards, to have an emotional connection and then try out the physical intimacy after the emotional connection. You might find it to be more satisfactory.
So we've basically rounded up today's session. So I hope you guys enjoyed as much as we enjoyed talking about this, and I hope you'll be making better, more informed decisions than just going up and about doing whatever it is that you're doing out there. So we'll see you in the next time on the Sage Be Me podcast.
It was a pleasure.